4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Hi guys, this is Klazart bringing another audio commentary, and this time I'm commentating on the first game of the best of 3 matchup between Nada and Backho. This is also the World Cyber Games qualifiers, round of 24. The other one that I've commented on is July versus The Rock, so do check that out. And this is an interesting matchup, to say the least. This is being played on Andromeda once again, and I think this is an interesting matchup because Backho recently has been facing up some tough Terran players, notably in Flash, who he faced in the GOM TV Intel Classic in the semifinals there. And if you haven't seen the result of that, I won't spoil it for you, but nevertheless, he has had some practice against top-tier Terrans, and now he's coming up against Nada, who's been, unfortunately, absent from the scene in this past season. He hasn't really been at his best, and he hasn't really been able to dominate. He didn't really make it at all into the individual leagues, and he wasn't performing that well in the pro leagues. After the season before that, he looked like he was doing quite well, and he did recently win his golden mouse. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk about when we talk about players slumping. And just to clarify, Nada is in the bottom left-hand corner of the map at the 7 o'clock position, and Backho is at the top right-hand corner of the map playing Protoss in red at the 1 o'clock position. Yeah, when we talk about slumping, I think one of the things we forget that StarCraft has relatively short cycles, where each season only lasts a couple of months, and you could easily have 3 seasons in a year almost. You could have 3 MSLs within a year, sometimes even 4. So it can be deceptive when you talk about form and you talk about slumps. And it looks like Backho is just starting up his gateway, sending out the scout after starting up his gateway. So not scouting early after the pylon, but actually waiting to get the gateway down before he sends out his scout. And yeah, Leecaf have a strong lineup. We've got Jadong, we've got Backho, and we've got loads of players, and Leecaf really looking very strong, but unfortunately for them, not getting through into the Pro League playoffs despite having such a strong lineup, which is sad for them to say the least, and also for GG obviously. Nada meanwhile starting up his refinery. But yeah, we talk about form and slumping, and when you look at most other sports, that's not the case, because in most sports, a season lasts a year, or in the case of, say, football over in England, a season lasts 7 or 8 months. So when a player loses out in an OSL, I mean, a player might make it into the semifinals and lose, and we say, oh, they're slumping, because we as fans are so used to our players just completely dominating that when they don't actually go and win the championship, we talk about slumps. And I think that's very unfair of us to do, and to realize that, if you look at players like July and players like Nada, they've won championships in the past, and then they don't win something for a season or two, and you go, oh, they're finished, they're slumped, and then 2 or 3 seasons later they come back and they win again. And if you compare it to any other sport, in cricket for example, where a batsman might go out of form for 2 or 3 months, but there's one adage that holds true for cricket, and I think it holds true for all sports and for StarCraft. Form is temporary, but class is permanent, and people like Julyzer, people like Nada, people like Savior have that element of class which can never be taken away from them, no matter what. And so while they might have an off season, they might not do that well, I think they always have it in them if they want to, if they're motivated to come back. That being said, definitely, and Backho has managed to get his probe in and scout that, and he scouted that Nada's getting that factory up very early on, but Backho should be okay to cope with this because he hasn't chosen to go for any sort of expansion build as well, so he's going to be relatively comfortable. Looks like Backho has got his Dragoon out as well, so Backho is going to be in a decent position to cope with what Nada's throwing at him. So both players starting up with tech builds here, neither player taking the risk of a fast expansion. Backho now getting in with the Zealot and using the probe to barrel his way up the ramp. Unfortunately for Nada, one of his Marines gets trapped and gets taken out by the Zealot, and Nada's going to be forced to run back. He's actually already building his machine shop already. He didn't produce a single vulture, so he's going to be forced to pull his SCVs off the line, and that's going to affect his mine time. So Backho, with a little bit of successful harass, Nada managed to take the probe out, and now the Zealot's being ushered back. Third Marine pops out for Nada while the machine shop goes. So Nada's going to be in a decent position, I think, once he fends this off. So Nada's just managed to push that Zealot away. He's got about 3 Marines now, and he's going to be able to retake his ramp and block it. But Backho, with a little bit of successful harass, losing unfortunately the probe, and Nada now has actually blocked his Marines because he's lost his SCV in Backho's base, and Backho straight away, the Citadel of Iron, once the SCV went down, the Citadel of Iron and the robotics facility going up, so we're going to be seeing a DT drop for Backho. DT drop is going to be coming into Nada's base, but Nada did get that SCV and he did scout the tech, so he should be, even if he's assuming a Reaver drop is going to be on its way, he should still have the turrets in time. It's just a question of whether or not Nada expands. Andromeda is one of those maps and Nada has put down his command center at his mineral only expansion. Nada putting the command center down, and it's just going to be a question of this game is going to come down to whether or not Nana can put that, and Nana's now got the siege tank out, Backho coming in with a harass, making sure that he stops Nana from getting any other scout off and getting he should be able to comfortably block that, but he's got a couple of Dragoons and the Zealot there, and Nana just trying to find a way to maneuver that SCV past those units, not being able to do so. Nana immediately putting that, and that's a very wise move by Nana, starting up his engineering bay. He's got to know that there's going to be something coming if he can't get the scout, and if Backho is so aggressively denying him that scout, it's important for him to be prepared. The other good thing that Nana is doing is that he's pushed that racks up north, he's floated his racks up north past his base, so, and that's the most likely direction that a shuttle drop could, or at least I suppose it's one of the two possible directions that the shuttle drop could come from. But Nana, if you can see the positioning of his building, this is clever by Nana, building the barracks north, building the engineering bay at the south of his base towards the eastern direction, so he's going to be able to float that engineering bay towards the east once it's built, and therefore he will have a scout on any shuttles approaching his base and will be able to maneuver his units accordingly. Backho's got the Templar archives up, and it's just a matter of timing now for that shuttle to go. The DTs are building. We're just looking at Backho's first platoon. The DTs are about half built. Those DTs do build quite quickly, but he obviously has got to get the shuttle out as well, and Nana should have the engineering bay just about finishing right now, and it's just a question of how many turrets Nana's going to have up in defense. The advantage for Nana is that he hasn't taken his natural expo, he's taken his mineral only expo, which is a little bit easier to defend, and that's one of the features of Andromeda. Backho loading up the shuttle with the DT drop, so DT drop going to come in for Backho here. He could potentially even load a Dragoon or a Zealot in with those DTs to give him a little bit of extra firepower when he does drop and to absorb some hits. Nana's, remember, has only got a couple of siege tanks and a couple of Marines out, so DTs are still going to be very effective. Nana's got one turret near his natural expo, and he is floating that barracks towards the east direction. Looks like Backho is taking the shorter route. He's not going all the way, so that barracks isn't going to see it. And I'm not sure if Nana's going to have enough turrets in place. I'm not sure if he's got a turret in his main. He's building more turrets. I'm not sure they're going to be up in time, and Nana could take significant damage here and be really, really set back by Backho. This is going to come right down to the wire. The turret is almost finished, but it's not quite finished, and Backho's going to drop right on top of that turret, and I'm sure he's going to stop Nana from completing it, and Backho drops the one DT. He drops both his DTs, and Nana now knows that he's in huge trouble. Luckily for him, he still has one turret up, and he should be able to get another turret up within range of that. He's going to now start a turret up in his main, but he hasn't started up, so he didn't really anticipate that. I think he was anticipating reverse. He did not see the DT drop. Backho successfully denied the scout aggressively, and Nana is now going to take a huge hit to his economy, and these two DTs should be able to inflict enough damage to give Backho enough of a lead in this game to finish Nana off, and Nana trying to get turrets up at his base. Backho, Nana forced to try and build 3 turrets simultaneously. He's got more, and Nana had built, oh my god, Nana has started another command center in his natural expo, and now Nana being attacked on all fronts, not able to get a turret. He's going to practically lose his main. He's managed to hold the defense at his natural expo to Backho's advancing units, but really this is curtains for Nana. Nana's managed to get one of the turrets up. He's bringing a couple of Marines. I think he's managed to kill one of the DT. He's actually lost quite a few SCVs in the process. The only thing that works in his favor, and now Backho is killing. Nana needs to cancel this expansion. Nana doesn't cancel the expansion. Backho actually manages to kill it, and Nana just about manages to save his siege tank. Backho with more DTs trying to come up, but Nana managed to take them out, and Nana has managed to get one turret up, but Backho has done massive damage. The only thing that works in Nana's favor is that he has had those 2 command centers up, so he's been pumping SCVs from them, but he's lost a lot of SCVs. Meanwhile, Backho, I think, has taken his mineral only as well as